Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I thought I would do another personal chat with you guys. I don't know if I mentioned it on this channel yet or not, but you also may have noticed it. But I am actually chronically ill, and I have been for over 10 years at this point. Well, I thought I would share this story for those of you who might be in the same boat as me. I hope that you find my story helpful. Maybe inspirational. I don't know if it's inspirational or not, but I just hope that my story will be useful to you in some way. So yeah, this story starts in 2010. I just started my freshman year of college. I went to a private Christian university in the middle of nowhere in Ohio. But yeah, like a couple months into my freshman year, I think it was October, like mid to end October. I'm not exactly sure. I did forget to mention this at the beginning, but because of my chronic illness, my memory is not so great. And of course, this was good more than 10 years ago, the start of the story. So I'm going to do my best to try to remember every important detail. So I might miss something, but if I remember it, I will definitely either put a comment on the video, put a comment in the description, put a comment in the comment section. I will, like, if I forget something important, I will make sure I include it somewhere on the video page. So, but yeah, just bear with me. Memory is one of those things that I have a really hard time with. So there's your disclaimer for that. So anyway, back to the story. So it was October of 2010, either mid-October, end of October, I'm not entirely sure. But I started just not feeling so great. And the first symptom that popped up was pain. And before I already had like issues with joint pain. My wrists weren't so great. My elbows weren't so great, probably because of bad piano technique. And I was also a drum major my senior year of high school, and I was doing a lot of conducting, and my elbows did not like that either. So I already had some pain problems. So this wasn't new to me. So I would assume that maybe it started in my hands and my elbows. But the pain didn't stop there. It kept going. Sooner or later, my whole body was on fire. Really, really extreme pain. Everything hurt. It hurt to like move. It hurt to walk. It was really painful. And this is something I've never experienced before. And so as a freshman in college, I'm just like, what the heck is going on? I didn't know what was going on. So I was like constantly calling home and being like, Mom, I think something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. I am hurting really, really bad. And so as you might expect, this was definitely putting a damper of my freshman year of college. Freshman year of college is supposed to be a really great time because you're like almost like you're an adult, but not quite, but you're at college. And so anyway. And so, yeah, it was just like, what on earth is going on? And this went on for a little bit. I don't know exactly when the next part of the story happens, but I would guess maybe like one of the breaks that I went on. So maybe it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, but I really don't remember. So my mom took me to my doctor, my general practitioner, and I told him, what was happening. I was dealing with really bad pain. At that point, pain was like the main symptom, but obviously being in pain also made me tired. And so I was dealing with a lot of fatigue and everything, and I couldn't sleep because I was in pain. And, the pain was the first symptom, but it kind of spiraled after there. And so pretty much my main concern was the pain. And so I was just telling him, well, like, I'm hurting all the time. It's something got triggered. I don't know what's happening. And he's like, okay. And so we did a ton of blood tests. I think he tested me for rheumatoid arthritis, probably some other pain conditions. He tested me for Lyme disease. He tested me for, I think he tested me for cancer, because I think blood cancer would have caused extreme pain as well. But yeah, he tested me for a lot of things that would cause extreme pain. And we waited a little bit for those tests to come back, and all those tests came back negative. So it was like, okay, it wasn't those things. And so he says, okay, I can refer you to 2 different doctors that might be able to help you out. He said, I can either refer you to an orthopedist or I can refer you to a rheumatoid arthritis doctor. I don't know if they have an official term, but it was the rheumatoid arthritis doctor dude. Anyway, but I was just like, well, I tested negative for rheumatoid arthritis, so let's go to the orthopedist first. And so that's what I did. So the orthopedist deals with bones and joints and stuff, I'm pretty sure. I don't know when I went to the orthopedist, but I went to the orthopedist at some point. And I told him, once again, I'm dealing with a ton of pain. All these blood tests came back negative. I don't know what's going on. And so they're like, okay, let's do a couple x-rays. And I had to choose, I could only choose 2 things to be x-rayed. So they couldn't x-ray my entire body because at this point, everything hurt. And so I remember distinctly that I was only able to, choose 2 things. And I don't know if it was because of my insurance or was it because of the radiation issue. And so I was just thinking, okay, what is hurting the most? And so I said, okay, let's x-ray my spine and let's x-ray my knees. And the reason why they were x-raying me was to make sure there wasn't any tumors, because if there was a tumor, that would have definitely caused pain and that might have triggered everything else. So I did the x-rays for the spine and x-rays for the knees, and they looked at those x-rays and there was nothing, there was no tumors, thankfully, my goodness, but there were no tumors, and the only problem they could find was that my kneecaps actually rotate to the outsides of my knees, and that was like the only issue. And I'm just like, but that wouldn't cause widespread pain. And I was like, well, that could be one of your problems though. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, let's just do what we gotta do. So yeah. And so he prescribed me some knee braces, which I got later. And then he also prescribed me some painkillers to help with the pain. And it was, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a pretty high dose of something. It wasn't like something like Vicodin or anything. I think it was like something below Vicodin. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. So he's like, sure, here, take this. This might help you with the pain. And I'm like, sure, why not? So I got the knee braces, and I walked around campus a lot with those knee braces, and they seemed to help with the walking, but it wasn't helping with like the widespread pain. The painkillers helped a little, but it wasn't solving the problem. It was just masking the problem and stuff. So yeah, the painkillers helped a little, took the edge off, and so I just continued taking them because I didn't know what else to do at that point. So since the orthopedist couldn't help me, we went to the rheumatoid arthritis doctor, and oh boy, this one's a doozy. But between the orthopedist and the rheumatoid arthritis, I did a lot of research, which is what you need to do when the doctors are telling you, I don't know what's wrong with you, but here, let's give you this, blah, 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 to just, mask the problem, but whatever. So yeah, we did a lot of research. My mother and I did a lot of research during this time, and we came up with a couple possibilities of what might be going on, but the biggest one that we learned was fibromyalgia. I did not know anything about this. So I looked into fibromyalgia, and I was looking at all the symptoms, and I was like, hey, this actually makes sense. So let's ask the doctor about it. So we went to the rheumatoid arthritis doctor. And I will have to say, this doctor was extremely rude. I would probably guess that he thought I was faking and didn't take me seriously. The nurse even didn't take me seriously. It was bad. This was just a bad all-around doctor. But, you gotta do what you gotta do because you don't know what's going on. But anyway, so we went there, and we were just talking about it. And then we asked me like, hey, we've done some research. Could it be fibromyalgia? And they're like, well, it could be. And so the typical diagnosis test for fibromyalgia was to see if you had like pain points in certain areas, like tender points they called them. And so I stood up, and like they poked and prodded at me. I was like, it hurts there, it hurts here, it hurts here. And pretty much it hurt everywhere. So we're like, could it be fibromyalgia? I was like, yeah, it could be. So this doctor also did blood tests as well. I don't remember exactly. I think he might have been testing for like kidney and liver failure, but I don't remember after that. But anyway, so he did some blood tests too, and then he prescribed me an antidepressant to supposedly let my muscles relax, but there might have been some other issue with that, because I'm like, why do you prescribe an antidepressant? But anyway, he prescribed me an antidepressant to supposedly help me sleep. But yeah, and then he reluctantly gave me a fibromyalgia diagnosis, and I'm like, okay, we have something. It might not be right, but we have something. And so I was like, okay, we got fibromyalgia, we know what it supposedly is, and now we can deal with it. The problem was he didn't want to see me anymore. Like I said, this doctor was rude and condescending and not so great. So yeah, and I probably wouldn't have wanted to see him either, but whatever. We figured out that it's possibly fibromyalgia. I got some drugs to supposedly help me manage. And so, yeah, so pretty much I was just coasting after that, because I was like, okay, I'm not dying from anything. And so that was probably good. But yeah, I have a list of the fibromyalgia symptoms from WebMD, and I thought I would go through them because it's been a long time since this chronic illness story started. So I thought I would actually look at the symptoms that are listed on WebMD and talk about them a little bit. So let's see. Since there are no lab or imaging tests for it, when you go get a diagnosis, your doctor will ask about your symptoms and decide if you have fibromyalgia. So there's the thing. It's just like, you could have fibromyalgia, but we don't know. But they will make sure they test everything else before they say, oh, it's this one. So let's start with the common symptoms and related conditions. And so the number one on the list is pain. Pain and tender points. And yeah, pain was the first symptom that showed up. It was widespread. It definitely, like the pain changed, like depending on the day. It says here the pain can be deep, sharp, dull, throbbing, or aching. I was pretty much getting all those pains depending on the day, depending on the time, depending what I was doing. But it was a lot of throbbing, a lot of deep pain, and a lot of fire. That's what I was feeling it. You will feel it in your muscles, tendons, and ligaments around the joints. Yeah, I was feeling it everywhere. So for some people, the pain comes and goes. It could travel throughout your body. Okay, for me, the pain was always there. The pain was always there, but like the intensity or the type of pain varied. So it was always there. So like if I wasn't like feeling it, it was just a dull ache. But like other times it's like fire and stuff. So it was always there. And so it's like chronic pain. Yep, dealing with chronic pain. So yeah, they talk about the tender points here, but I didn't really have like since everything hurt, I didn't really have tender points because it was just like everything hurt. So yeah. The second symptom they have on here is fatigue. And oh boy, fatigue was very big. And fatigue was probably because I was in pain all the time, because I was so tired all the time, because I was having trouble sleeping because my pain wouldn't let me sleep. And so that went to being fatigued, and plus I was in school and dealing with homework and stuff like that. I was like, ugh. So I was really, really tired, like all the time, which is crazy. A lingering tiredness and feeling drained is another big complaint. People often feel tired even when they should feel rested, such as after a good night's sleep. I would say that's right. I just felt like drained and wiped, but I was just thinking it's just because my body's in pain all the time, and it gets tired. It gets tired when you're like constantly in pain. It's crazy. But yeah, I felt really tired like all the time. And yes, I did have sleep problems, which is the third symptom on here. And yeah, I had trouble sleeping because I was in pain all the time, and laying in bed with a college mattress was not the greatest. Like it wasn't, yeah, my muscles just wouldn't relax. It was just, ugh. Anyway, the fourth symptom, it says concentration and memory problems such as fibro fog. Oh my gosh, yes. This was definitely another symptom that developed soon after the pain. It was just like, there was just like fog, like in my brain. Like you're trying to think of something and it just won't come. It's just not coming easily. And this was like probably really hard to deal with during college because you're trying to learn new things. And it's hard to learn new things when you're like constantly like in a daze and just can't think and can't remember things. And like my disclaimer I had earlier, like memory was really bad too, but I somehow managed. The next symptom has here anxiety or depression. So for me in college, it was definitely a lot of depression, and that is to be expected. I was sick. I didn't know what was going on. I was a really healthy kid. I was really healthy going through my life up to high school, but then college, all of a sudden it was just taken away from me. So of course I'm depressed. I'm just like, I'm in pain. I don't know what's going on. I'm in college. I'm doing something different, and you know, my life is like falling apart. So yes, I was very depressed. But also those antidepressants that I mentioned earlier that the rude doctor gave to me, those made me very suicidal. Thankfully, I didn't attempt anything, but I was not happy. I was definitely not happy. I, thought about killing myself multiple times. I was just really unhappy. And when you become chronically ill after being healthy for so long, it's just like, why is this happening to me? It's just like, okay, it has morning stiffness on here, and that's understandable because your muscles aren't relaxing at night because you're not sleeping well, which makes it more painful in the morning. Ugh. Numbness, tingling in hands, arms, feet, and legs. Yes, I had a lot of numbness, but I felt like that was just my body's way of trying to protect me. And so after being in pain for a long time, my body would like sort of numb it out. Like the pain was still there, but it wasn't like constantly in my forefront, and like my body would like a little numb and tingly and stuff like that. And so yeah, that happened. But the main symptoms for me were the pain, the fatigue, and then the mood and brain and mental things, so mental fog and depression. So those were like my main symptoms that I dealt with. And so where was I in my story? Oh yeah. So after I saw the rheumatoid arthritis doctor, I was pretty much coasting for a while because we didn't know what else to do because the doctor didn't have any other ideas for me, because I pretty much did every single blood test that could possibly have shed an answer for me, and all those came back negative. And so we're like, okay, what's going on? And so pretty much since I got the painkillers, I got the antidepressants, and then I got a fibromyalgia diagnosis. So we were kind of like just operating like, okay, what should we do? And so we did a lot of research on fibromyalgia, and we just tried to do the best that I could. So, trying to limit my activity, trying to get enough sleep at night and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm assuming spring break is the next part of the story, because I know, I remember going to this doctor freshman year. So let's just assume spring break is the next part of the story here. My youngest brother is on the autism spectrum. And so he was seeing this holistic doctor, and my mother would go with him, obviously. And my mother must have been talking about me and my issues during one of their appointments. And this particular doctor was like, bring her in. Let's see what I can do. And just to say, he wasn't treating anybody like me at that point. He was a pediatrician dealing with kids that have mood disorders and learning disorders and stuff. That was pretty much his thing. But after hearing my story, he was like, okay, bring her in. Let's see. I'll talk with her. Let's see what we can do. And so spring break, I went to see this doctor. And this was almost like a turning point for me, because this doctor was utterly amazing. He listened to me, he believed me, he sympathized with me, it was just like, he was there to help any possible way that he could. And it was absolutely amazing. So, we go to him and he's like, I'm like, okay, I got a fibromyalgia diagnosis. That's what I'm thinking what this is. But I'm like in constant pain, I'm tired and everything. And he's like, okay, let's see what we can do. And so he pretty much did what he does with every other a patient that he sees for the things that he treats. And so we looked at nutritional deficiencies. We looked at hormones. He was saying, oh, we need to clean up your diet a little bit. We need to get you a little bit of exercise. This doctor, he wasn't just a holistic doctor. He combined the conventional treatments with holistic treatments. And so we also got me on some medications that I needed as well, just to help balance things out. And so we did nutritional deficiencies. And so I was low in iron. I had trouble absorbing B vitamins. And so I was on a B complex. I was on iron supplements. I was on probably lots of other things. Oh, it's been a really long time. So it's just like, I don't remember exactly what was on there, but but I was seeing this doctor for a good couple years. I've followed this doctor for a good couple years while I was in college. And so we did a lot of different things. And so pretty much he helped me, this wonderful doctor, helped me manage my symptoms. He didn't have a cure for me. He didn't have the ultimate answer for me. But he was like, let's just help you manage and function like a normal human being so we can get you through college. And so that's pretty much what we did. So we did nutritional therapy. I did hormonal therapy because my hormones were totally out of whack. So I was on progesterone for a while. So we cleaned up my diet. He suggested that I eat a whole foods diet and also a gluten-free diet because we found out that I was sensitive to gluten. And then he was like, okay, we need to get you some gentle exercise to get your muscles moving as well. And then I was also on, the medications he put me on a thyroid medication because my thyroid was not functioning well. And so I was on thyroid medication, which would have helped with my energy. And then he also gave me a muscle relaxant as well to help me sleep at night. And that really helped as well. And at this point he got me off the painkillers I was taking, and he got me off of the antidepressant I was taking, which is great because the antidepressant was not working. It was doing the opposite effect of what it was supposed to do. And then the painkillers, he replaced those painkillers with a natural painkiller that wouldn't destroy my stomach or my liver or my kidneys by taking painkillers all the time. So, and that was great. But yeah, this doctor really, really, really helped. We got to the point where we can manage my pain. The pain was a lot more manageable. I knew what my limits were. I knew what I could do and what I couldn't do, and just things we just did things that would make me feel better. And so he looked at the whole person, so very holistic. This doctor was absolutely, absolutely, absolutely amazing. I know I've said that multiple times, but this doctor probably saved my life, because if we didn't get to a point where I was managing my pain, I probably would have had to drop out of college. But since we figured out a way to manage my symptoms, we were able to get myself through college. Oh, I also remembered he also put me on a sleep drug, Ambien, and that actually helped me sleep at night. So I was very grateful for that too. So pretty much we got me to a point where my pain was manageable as long as I didn't exert myself too much. We got to a point where I was sleeping somewhat comfortably. I had to go to bed at like 9 o'clock every night. So I wasn't doing much of nightlife when it came to college, that's for sure. And then we were working on my diet, but I have to be honest, I could have done better with my diet, that's for sure. But I was dealing with so many other things that I was just there was just one thing that I just didn't work on. So I wasn't very consistent when it came to my diet or my exercise, that's for sure. But then I was also on medications that were helping things too as well. And sorry if this is rambly, but I haven't thought about this for like a long time. So that's pretty much the story of how we came to my fibromyalgia diagnosis. And so this is the first part of my story. You probably saw in the title, it says part 1, because there's more to this story, because I pretty much just talked about the first 4 years of my chronic illness since I got sick my freshman year of college, and then I graduated college. And soon after I graduated from college, there was a breakthrough. There was a turning point. There was another thing. So we got to the point where we were managing my symptoms, and then all of a sudden something else happens. And so yes, that is very clickbaity. And so you will have to see what happens in part 2 because this video has gotten so long. So sorry for the clickbaity trying to get you suspense type of thing, but yes, it was kind of this turning point. You gotta see part 2. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my story. I hope it makes sense. Hopefully it's not too rambly. If you have any questions about my journey, about my story, definitely comment down below and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. And if I've forgotten something, I will definitely put comments below. But I think I got the I've got the basics of the story. I didn't really dive that deep into details, but I think I got the crux of the story here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my story and definitely stay tuned for part 2, which I will record very, very soon after this video. So I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.